I am the only progressive Democratic Party candidate for mayor on the ballot, and I am the only San Francisco Green Party endorsed candidate for mayor.
So that's Joel Ventresca. Joel Ventresca, when he was running for mayor, I'm not for sure if that's the same phone number, 415-941-7945. I'm just going to do this, another one-man show question and answer. Joel Ventresca, recall candidate. So I'm going to ask the questions like this, and then I'm going to try to, be like, oh, Joel Ventresca, the man, the myth, the legend. So Democrat Joel Ventresca is a retired airport analyst. He lives in San Francisco, August 19, 2021. This is from the San Diego Union Tribune.com. Why should Governor Gavin Newsom be recalled? Gavin Newsom is a corporate establishment insider Democrat who's incompetent and corrupt. Gavin Newsom represents a rigged economic and political system that makes the super elite richer while the rest of us are pushed down the economic ladder. Gavin Newsom's numerous failures have made inequities for women and people of color worse. Gavin Newsom is the protege of Willie Brown and comes out of the most corrupt urban political machine in America. Gavin Newsom's record? Well, he's a Getty Oil fortune-generated multimillionaire and corporate interest bagman. He's a corporate interest bagman, $43.4 million collected to stay in power from real estate, health, tech, gambling, and other industries. A Getty Oil fortune-generated multimillionaire. He increased the gap between the rich and the poor. But Gavin Newsom refuses to increase the taxes on the wealthy. Gavin Newsom has mismanaged schools. 83% of parents say children are falling behind. The pandemic, 64,000 deaths, highest of any state. Nursing homes, 9,000 COVID-19 deaths. Public health, underfunded contact tracing and data collection costing more lives. The economy, millions of lost jobs, unemployment benefits, failure to answer phones, wildfires, record 4.2 million acres burned in 2020, blackouts, drought, climate change, 112 fracking and oil drilling permits were approved in 2021. Housing, skyrocketing rents, median home prices, 113,980. Homelessness, by far the most in the nation. Poverty, the highest rate in the nation. In prisons and crime. Homicides increased 31% statewide in 2020. In 2018, Newsom promoted a Trump Republican to make it easier to win the general election for governor. In 2020, Newsom received $226 million in corporate donations for charity, then provided no-bid contracts and appointments to donors. Gavin Newsom's family took $700,000 from California's largest utility, and then entered a massive Wall Street-friendly, ratepayer-funded $21 billion bailout. The U.S. Supreme Court has reversed Newsom's abuse of power 5 times. His 2007 sexual misconduct scandal included adultery, betrayal of his best friend, breaking up a new family with a child, unlawful workplace favoritism, taxpayer money misappropriation, and poor behavior related to alcohol use. While dining with influence peddling lobbyists, Gavin Newsom exposed his hypocrisy, arrogance, and privilege. How would you have handled the pandemic differently than Gavin Newsom, and what would you do if elected? Should vaccines be mandated? Are you vaccinated, and when did you get vaccinated? Gavin Newsom is erratic, and he sends mixed messages. I will reopen the economy and the schools with safety precautions based on indisputable facts, evidence, and science. Is a highly skilled and trained safety, security, and risk expert from the San Francisco International Airport. I will weigh risk, benefits, and consequences on a continuous basis and determine what law, regulation, and policy changes are needed to keep as many people safe as possible. I will communicate with the public, the legislature, and the business community what the science is showing and what strategies the government will pursue to get through the pandemic. Guidelines and recommendations and mandates will be determined on vaccines and other pandemic-related policies and actions based on accurate data. Clear science and up-to-date risk and versus benefits analysis. I'm fully protected, fully vaccinated. I received my first dose of the Pfizer vaccine on February 14th and my second dose on March 14th. What will be your approach to housing and homelessness? I'm going to end homelessness and poverty with comprehensive programs. I will build large-scale, multi-unit, permanent, affordable housing in major cities near transit services. I will campaign for the adoption of a statewide ballot measure so counties and cities can have rent control to stabilize and reduce rents. I will push to reduce evictions, displacement, and gentrification. I will change laws, regulations, and policies to bring down the cost of building new housing and to significantly expand the supply of housing. What is your top education priority, and how would you implement it? I will enact high-quality education and health care cradle to grave for all residents. Funding will come from workers making over $50,000 a year with a payroll deduction. 1/3 of the cost combined federal, state, and local revenues, which are already spent on education and health care services. 1/3 of the cost and increased taxes on wealthy individuals and wealthy corporations. 1/3 of the cost. The student, patient, and user of these services will have no out-of-pocket cost. I will eliminate bills, debts, and fears related to these lifetime services. I will reopen schools and keep them open with appropriate safety precautions. How will you address the state's climate emergency? What are your plans for energy demands, wildlife risk, and drought? I will reinvent California into the first zero-carbon emission state in the nation. I will restructure energy utilities into a full-service, consumer-owned, statewide public power system that operates efficiently, reliably, sustainably, and safely with 15% lower rates. I will cease fracking and oil drilling. I will convert to non-nuclear 100% clean renewable energy. I will establish free public transit. The state needs to increase resources to fight wildfires and limit the damage to our land, buildings, businesses, and air. Removal of dead trees from forests should be a top priority. There needs to be buffer zones, meaning no trees or vegetation around cities, towns, and power lines. For the drought, water conservation strategies need to be implemented across the board. Impacted stakeholders need to be included in the decision-making process for minor and major changes to law, regulation, and policy. What kind of car do you drive? What changes have you made in your own life in response to the climate emergency? Honda Accord. As a city and county of San Francisco environmental commissioner, I adopted the first landmark city and county of San Francisco sustainability plan. As a lifelong environmentalist, I've tried to limit my impact on the environment as much as possible. Are there any tax increases you support? I support increase in taxes on wealthy individuals and wealthy corporations. In 2020, the state's richest residents had a net worth of $815.5 billion. The lowest part of the top 1% in California made $659,000 in 2020. I will eliminate taxes and fees on small businesses for 5 years. Well, what new immigration policies do you support, if any? What changes would you like to see in the U.S.-Mexico border policy? How would you address the border pollution issues? I will work with federal, state, county, and city governments to address the issues related to immigration. The humanitarian crisis on the U.S.-Mexico border needs to be solved with a comprehensive program. I will mobilize state resources to clean up pollution issues at the border. How will your approach to gun legislation be different from California's existing approach? I will work to pass the best gun safety legislation in the nation to reduce mass shootings, gun-related homicides, and gun-related suicides. I will work to get guns out of the hands of violent individuals. In the wake of George Floyd's murder, what criminal justice changes do you support? I will work to pass the best police reform laws in the nation. I will make sure police are well-trained, accountable, monitored. As crime goes up, additional resources will be provided to the police. I will push to change laws, regulations, and policies to reduce violent crime. And that is it. You want some question and answer with Dennis Richter? Let me tell you about Dennis Richter. Dennis Richter, he's a retail worker, works at Walmart. Dennis Richter. Well, he's part of the Socialist Worker Party. All right, we'll do Dennis Richter next.